Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back, everybody. There are many of us that are looking to move our lives forward, make some change, whether it's professionally, whether it's personally, but a lot of us are stuck and we can't figure out why. There is a way to figure it out. I did. Going to be honest with you. It goes back to your past, specifically, and she can address this a little bit more than I can, but this is my understanding. It's your childhood that is holding you back from a lot of what you want to do in life. What's the game changer? Getting hypnotized and working with somebody to help you figure that all out. That's what she does. And again, it was a game changer for me. Yes, I had some aversions, the typical things that people wonder about when being hypnotized. But we're going to go through all of that today with Kathleen Isenhart, who joins us on the program. How are you doing today?
I'm well. Thank you, Steve. How are you?
Very well. Very well. And am I close or on point in saying that a lot of the stuff that's holding us back, keeping us stuck, is from our childhood?
It can be, absolutely. It can be from many different arenas. Some people would consider past lives, if we consider time an issue, a past life issue, a future life issue. But certainly childhood can create some blocks in our world. And I like that you had a opportunity to go undergo what you said is a hypnosis session. Can you describe that a little bit? What you experienced?
Sure. Well, I'm going to say, and I'm not the expert here at all, but I knew that I needed to address things from my childhood. Not that it was a bad childhood, but there's always something there. I feel we all had stuff growing up. And I told the practitioner, just take me back to my childhood. That's where we're going. And we did. I confronted myself as a child while being hypnotized. And it wasn't that I saw things that I had not remembered. And maybe that's different for others. But for me, it was like, oh, yeah, remember that. It was way clearer. And the game changer, and I got very emotional, was I was seated under hypnosis across from my younger self. And I was told to reassure that younger self that I'm there for you. I got your back. You never have to worry about anything. I got you. It was, whoa. It was like,
powerful.
Oof. Never forget it. I will never forget it. But that was, yeah. And here's the thing. And I want to go over the things that people stay away from hypnosis for. Thinking that the mind is being controlled by the hypnotist. All that stuff you see on TV, a lot of it is staged. I'm going to say, I hear from others, though, you're getting sleepy, that doesn't exist. I mean, I've never experienced that. And there's no way that you can give up any information, credit card numbers, social security numbers, unless you want to. But nobody's going to be able to suck that out of you, get that out of you. And during the sessions I had, and it was with different practitioners over a period of time of a year and a half, whatever, I could have right away stopped. I could have said, nah, that's not feeling good. I'm not going to do it. There was no reason to. It was perfectly comfortable. It was actually weirdly exciting, but also for me, and I'm sure others too, emotional. It's like watching a movie of your childhood. And again, nothing bad, but it's, you're just seeing, like I'm watching a, Super 8 movie of my childhood. That's what I describe it feeling. Is that what you hear from others?
Yes, it's very real. It's actually more real than this reality. And so to clarify, hypnosis is what I do, and probably what you experienced, and this is going to be a guess, but that you're really in a deep meditative state, which is a normal brainwave state. And in those states, it's like right before sleep time and right when you wake up from sleep time. These are normal brainwave states. There's not anything that's done to you by a hypnotherapist. I'm not a hypnotherapist. You could call it a hypnotist, but there are techniques that we utilize to get you into a very deeply relaxed state. And in that state, then your conscious mind, the mind that works in the everyday, helps you drive and do all the work things you need to do and so on and live, tends to fall asleep a little bit and go sit on the back seat, and now you're into your, what Dolores Cannon would call, if anybody knows who Dolores Cannon is, and the mother of quantum healing technique, would call your subconscious mind or your higher self. And it's connecting to that higher self, which is where all of your all your knowledge is, all of your past information in your childhood, all other lifetimes that you might have lived, for those that believe in other lifetimes, all that information is there. And in that state, or when people get into a very deep meditative state, can access that information. And so what you did was you were in that deep state and you were able to access your memories of your childhood and speak to your child. And because there is no time, really, we think there's linear time in our three-dimensional world, but in essence, there is no time. Everything happens at once. You were speaking to that child yourself, reassuring them, sending that child love, and healing your child, yourself as that child and yourself now, and changing your future as you were moving. And the emotions that people feel in those states, as I understand it, because I've had many sessions too, is there's the truth to that. You would not experience those things or feel those things if there wasn't a truth to you, your truth, that you would be experiencing at that time, that deep emotion that you feel.
Is it true that somebody like yourself that hypnotizes somebody else, you're not doing anything other than giving us the keys to our mind? It's not like you're controlling us. You're just giving us access.
We're facilitating your access. So we're just helping you, because I wasn't a good meditator, and meditation is a little challenging, but going through these sessions, they facilitate you relaxing. It's like a guided meditation almost, and it allows you to get into that relaxed state. And then during the session, you've discussed ahead of time with that person what you want to discuss. What are your questions for yourself? What issues might you have? You wanted to address your inner child or potentially address that. But during those states, when you're in that session, your higher self knows exactly what you need to know. And that's what you'll experience in that session, is what your higher self knows is most important for you in this moment in your lifetime. Now, in the next session, it might be something different, but that's what you needed to understand and experience and heal in that moment. Your higher self never will let you give out information, experience anything that would be harmful. It's very, very protective. You are always safe and protected by your higher self when you're in that deeply meditative state in a session. Always protected. I can't tell you what to do.
Right. Yeah. There's no way.
There's no way.
Unless somebody wants to. And on the reverse of that, if you're not somebody who is ready to make a change, it's not going to work. No, especially smoking, I think, is a classic. We always hear, hypnosis to stop smoking, one session. And sometimes it works from my understanding. I've never smoked. But if it's a spouse or a partner bringing somebody else in and saying, yeah, I've set an appointment for you, we're going to stop you from smoking. This is Kathleen is going to get it done for you. If that person doesn't want to do it, it's not going to work, right?
Right. Well, so the real question is, why are we smoking? So what we experience in our world, our emotions, our feelings, our body symptoms and whatnot, that's our body talking to us about some underlying issue or belief system we need to address. So if somebody's smoking, why are they smoking? So there are hypnotists or hypnotherapists that could go in and in that state tell you don't smoke, but it might not last because you didn't get to the underlying reason as to why. Why are you smoking? Is there some issue in your early life or in another life, or that you need to address and deal with? Because the underlying belief is really what you're trying to get to. Now, some say you don't necessarily need to, and all time is now, and you need to focus on the now. But I find in these sessions, people go to the most important point in their lives in that time period, wherever they are, past life, this life, for what they need in that moment. And we direct them to that. Go to the very most important point in time or space that you need to go to find your answers right now.
So interesting.
And they go there.
I've learned so far in just a few minutes from you, and I've already, I've done hypnosis before, that your higher self will get you to where you need to go. Now,
yes.
I had a feeling I need to go back to my childhood, and there's other areas I'm sure I need to address, as we all do under hypnosis. But my higher self apparently pulled out certain events that needed to be addressed. It wasn't like I said, okay, Kathleen, take me back to the time that blank and the time that I did this and the time that happened. Blah, blah, blah. Right. No, I just said childhood. Those things presented themselves. And I didn't know that. I just learned that from you today.
Right. So you had a question. You wanted to know something. Something was amiss. And you had a question as to why this was amiss. Your higher self knows where that information is and how to help you find the answer to whatever you felt was amiss in that moment. Some people come with a question about, let's say, have, numbness or tingling, or they have pain in their neck or something. Then we can ask during that session, why? Where does that come from? What is the issue behind that? And the higher self, if that's important, will direct you to that information as you need it.
Is it true that if we're driving in the car and let's say we get to work and we turn around, we say, that's weird. I don't even remember driving here. I'm here. I'm safe. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Is that a form of hypnosis?
Yeah, it's right. Yes. So as we're driving and we're just kind of, doing the typical routine things we always do, like watching TV, you're into a form of self-hypnosis almost, a very light hypnotic state. And these are normal brainwave states that you pass through all through the day. A very, very awakened state, and then just slightly hypnotic state, and then the deep one, and then deep sleep, like the 4 brainwave states.
Mm.
And so, yes, like, was that light red when I went through it, or was it green? Right.
Right. It's like,
Right.
how did I get here?
How did I get there?
In that situation, what protected us from going through the red light, from hitting another vehicle, from whatever?
I would say our higher selves does. Always watching out for us. And if there was something that we needed to know, then that state would stop and we would be aware of that.
Now, let's go a little bit deeper. We talked about hypnosis, quantum. Add the word there, quantum hypnosis. I don't know if I'm saying that right. And that's what you practice. What is that?
Right. So there's as Einstein said, there is no time. So we believe that everything is connected in one, all one. And while we experience time here on this 3rd dimensional realm, in other dimensions, there is no time. Everything's happening at once. And people who have gone through near-death experiences and so on will have that same type of experience. All one is now, and wherever you put your attention is where you go. So in your experience, where you had that session and you went back and spoke to that child, which was you as a younger version of yourself, there is no time. That child still exists in that time. You spoke with that child, you comforted that child, and you healed whatever you needed to heal in that moment. And then moving forward, now you feel better, I would assume, after that experience. Some of your issues, some of those issues resolved. So time is all one. And our ability to experience that when we get into these states where you go in, it's like when you're dreaming almost, but when you get into those states, time doesn't exist and you can travel anywhere throughout the cosmos, anywhere.
Wow. I love the fact that you harness the power of energy and you blend it with hypnosis. And yeah, hypnosis in itself is fantastic, but having that understanding of how energy works, quantum and all of that, for me, it's a game changer. And I believe that I had quantum hypnosis, but probably didn't even know. And I heard somebody say once, and tell me if this is accurate or not, that when it's blended, hypnosis is blended with the quantum aspect, it moves along faster. The results are faster than maybe not connected to quantum. Does that make sense?
Well, I think quantum was a term used to describe it as a difference from hypnotherapy, and they're just techniques to get people into so Dolores Cannon's quantum healing hypnosis technique is a technique to facilitate you into a deep meditative state. There's Candace Craw-Goldman's Beyond Quantum Healing, which is a little different technique. They're all techniques to get you into that state where you're at that deep meditative state just before sleep. And in that state is where you can explore beyond this 3-dimensional time and existence. And that's exploring basically consciousness, all of consciousness, wherever you are. And so I think the term quantum is used because it makes us feel like it's, outside of time and separate from hypnotherapy that is practiced by therapists.
How did you get involved in this? Where did that all begin?
So like many people, have a dark night of the soul or some traumatic event that changes their life. And so I've been into studying this for some time, not hypnosis necessarily, but beyond time, extraterrestrials, our galactic connection, and so on and so forth. But I had a cancer scare in 2020, and that was that dark night of the soul. I chose to believe in that diagnosis, but then felt that it was an incorrect diagnosis. And so in that traveling and experience of, I need to heal myself, there has to be a way that I can do this myself. I found Dolores Cannon and her quantum healing hypnosis technique, underwent some sessions where I realized, like you did in your session, why did I have that cancer? Why was it there? What was the purpose of it for my life moving forward? What was the value of it? What was it telling me I needed to change in my world? And so through those sessions, I learned that. And then I found, Candace Craig-Goldman's Beyond Quantum Healing, her techniques. And so all of those techniques and those sessions really allowed me to get to the why I created that situation, because I believe we're all powerful beings. We create our own reality. We create our illnesses. We create our health. We create everything that we do. And so through those sessions, I realized I created it. I can uncreate it, and I can create what I desire. And so in that creation of what I desire now is to allow others the space to create that heart-loving space where others can have those profound experiences and come into their own power, to realize they have the power to create, to cause illness, to heal illness, anything they want.
What do you say? And thank you for sharing that. And it's pretty powerful when you think about that phrase, where your attention goes, the energy flows.
Agreed. Right? Yes. Where you put your attention is what you receive.
Manifestation.
Yes.
There's another example of that. What do you say to people that might say, well, the reason I have cancer, it's genetic, it's in my family tree. It's in, all of that. How do you address that?
So there's many reasons for bodily symptoms that people have. And I think each person has to find what their reason is. If they're interested, do they have the power to create it and the power to uncreate it? Will they take the time and effort to figure out why they have that? What is it telling them? It's a message. It's a message.
Interesting.
That's not to say that everybody doesn't have a genetic underlying disposition. That's not necessarily untrue that they have a genetic predisposition, but there's a reason they manifested that cancer. What's the reason they manifested it?
Point taken. You may have the genetics within. Doesn't mean you're going to get cancer.
No.
Why did you?
Why did you?
Right. I just got a memory in one of the sessions that I had, just to illustrate how relaxing it is. In one of the sessions I had, the practitioner sent me audio, and it was there was a goal in mind, and the audio it's like a 20-minute file to get you into the hypnotic state. And some say, it takes maybe 20 days of listening to the same thing over and over again to make a change. It worked. It was all good. I still occasionally listen to that session, but not for the goal to fall asleep.
Fascinating.
Yes.
Very good.
And even before I get to the part where they start talking about what the goal was, I'm already asleep. So on the plus side, what we hear, we don't have to be conscious. We can be sleeping. Whatever it is that the goal was, I'm just reinforcing it, but I'm already asleep. It's just amazing how hypnotherapy can get it done.
Yeah, the state we try to work in is just above sleep. And if the client falls asleep, we try to gently arouse them to that just above sleep state.
Sure.
But during our sessions too, we record the session. We don't record the induction set portion because we don't want someone listening to it later on and putting themselves into a hypnotic state or a meditative state. But we send that recording to them so they can just like re-listen to what occurred during their session. And all of that comes from themselves. All that information is coming from themselves through their higher self and so on. And it's basically their higher self or you talking to you about what's going on with your world and how you can change that. What was the reason and how you can change that and how loved you are. At the end of every session, I ask every client, every client's higher self, is there a final message for yourself? And the higher self will say, they are loved unconditionally.
Mm. And
That is the message always.
that was the message I gave my younger self.
Yep.
Interesting. Um, I guess it's true when somebody says, you're acting like a child. You realize that you're acting like a child? You are. We are in a way, right?
What better place to be, actually? So much
Mm.
joy and fun and innocence and wonder at the world.
Well, I guess that's where it begins because you're a clean slate as a child. Now you're 2, you're 3, you're 4, 5, 6, but you're learning about life. You're learning from your parents and about your environment and how to deal with situations.
Mm-hmm.
And then it sort of gets locked in. And now you go from 7 to, I don't know, 37, 47, 57, whatever it might be. And now you're running on that program from when you were 7 years old, but you don't
Yeah.
realize it, right?
Yeah. It's funny you say that because from what I read in my experience, 7 years old seems to be the time we lock in our belief systems, those initial belief systems.
Mm,
Whatever culture you live in, whatever, area, we all have a set of beliefs.
yeah.
And then we use that programming for the rest of our life. So then the question becomes, are those beliefs still serving us? Are those accurate beliefs? And what if, as a grandmother now and whatnot, how can we help our children as they grow now in this world to recognize that they are powerful, that they always have guidance. If they just stop and listen, they have guidance from their higher selves, and to listen to that and trust that. Because really, as a parent or grandparent, you always want, when your child is old enough to go out on their own, you want them to trust themselves and trust their intuition and trust their knowledge. And so I think we train that out of our children. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we had trained that? So you knew before 7 that you could sit and meditate and talk to your higher self and talk to yourself at 2 years old. What a concept that would have been.
Right. Right. And
Why can't
as
we teach that to our children now?
everything we're talking about, if I could, and my youngest is 16, if I could go back and parent them differently based on what
Yeah,
I know now, I would.
right.
And I think you would agree too, in some regards there, just knowing. But even like the silly things, like, as parents, we goof around with our kids, we give them a nickname just for fun, you mean you're just joking around. But rethinking it, not like you want to filter everything you do in life, but maybe that had an impact. And where did I get that from? I would goof around with my kids and, when they were younger and give them nicknames just for fun. Not bad ones, just goofy names. My dad did that to me. And
Oh,
I had no issues with it, but maybe my kids did. I don't know. I don't know. So I mean, I would think of it a lot of that stuff in a different light now, knowing how impactful what we do with our kids when they're young is.
it's hugely impactful. Yes. And so
Yeah.
with my daughter and myself, and I'm trying to figure out how to reparent the grandchildren in a
Mm,
in a more open and broad and treat them like they're human, like they're people, not like they're less than, not like they're my charge, but they're a person who's growing. How can we facilitate their growth and learning in themselves and trust in themselves and still work within this environment as well? They have to learn that all. And
yeah.
how do we do it? And not box them in. Trust themselves, challenge everything, challenge all their beliefs.
Yeah. Wow. Wish I knew, but that's why we're talking about it for others and also just to change our belief systems from our childhood. How does it begin with you, Kathleen? Somebody is listening, watching, this resonates, they want to make a change in their life. How do they do that?
So they can contact me through my website if they want to. Do I need to mention that on air, or is that going to be in the show notes?
I wish you would. Bring it on.
Oh, sure. Okay. So they can contact me through my website, YES, Hypnoses, HYPNOSES, hypnoses.com, or YESHypnoses at outlook.com is my email. But really what I do is I hold a space for them to explore whatever questions or issues that they want to explore for whatever purpose they have, just knowledge, consciousness exploration. They want to heal something. They have a question on a relationship. It doesn't matter what questions you come with. When you're in the session, your higher self knows exactly what you need. You will get your information that you need. And it just allows you to connect with yourself, to empower yourself to know you have all the answers and information within. It's all there. Trust within. That's where we need to go. We keep trusting the external world for our answers. We really need to start trusting ourselves first. So it's all about empowering self.
Nobody,
Not being selfish. It's just empowering self.
sure, but nobody knows you better than you. Nobody's going to love you better than you. I know that sounds a little self-serving, maybe egotistical, but that's the truth. And like you're saying, we trust other practitioners, doctors. Here's a pill, take it. You're not getting to the root cause. When you have somebody under hypnosis, we're going back to the root cause.
Right. Their higher self is telling them what the issues are, where that came from, and how you can move forward and let it go. What's the important thing for you to do with that? Yeah, root cause.
Amazing.
Sometimes that's not always necessary, but just that's generally what happens in those sessions. But,
amazing. Learned a lot today, Kathleen. Really did. I appreciate it. Hypnosis. Just say yes. Change your life. What are you waiting for? And I waited. I should have got on this way sooner, but I understand, sometimes we have these thoughts and it's our belief system, even about hypnosis, it's our belief system. Right. Thank you so much for being here. Looking forward next time we get together.
Have a great day, Steve.
You too. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.